Uh, my name is Joseph Thomas, and I'm the founder and CEO of Logesys Solutions India Private Limited. At the outset, let me thank you all for joining us today in this webinar. We Logesys and Titan Workspace are partners, and we are quite happy and grateful for this opportunity, the time you've given us today afternoon. We hope the next 1 hour we spend together is quite fruitful and informative for all of us. So let me start the session with an introduction to our organization, Logesys. So Logesys is a partner with Titan Workspace, both in India as well as in the Middle East region. And we have worked with in some exciting digital transformation automation projects in both these regions. I will take a few more minutes and give you a very quick introduction of what Logesys does before I hand it over to Ashish, who will be doing the rest of the webinar. So let me share my screen, and I will just quickly take you through the tech of Logesys. Just let me know if you're able to see my screen.
Yes, we can see.
Yes. Okay. So to explain about Logesys, I'm going to use a small analogy.
It's still blank.
Yeah, it's a blank. That's the intent.
Yeah, I'm just making
right. So yeah, so I'm just going to use a small analogy so that it's easy for everyone to understand what Logesys is all about. And I'm going to use a phrase which a lot of us are very familiar with. It's called data as a new oil. So this phrase was actually coined in the year 2006 by a British mathematician called Clive Humby. And it was again made famous in the year 2017 by The Economist, when they published an article with the title, "The World's Valuable Resource is no longer oil, but it's data," right? So why is so? Why is it called so, right? So both oil and data in its raw form do not have any value. Unless you process it and transform it, it doesn't have much of a value as such. So that is why this phrase is relevant, and that's why everyone caught on to it. So just as I explained through the various stages of the oil, I'm also going to explain how Logesys does the services. So we are not an oil and gas company. I'm just using this as an analogy, right? The first thing is there's a lot of oil, and obviously there's a lot of data today. So we have to extract the data. So in oil case, you drill, which could be an ocean or it could be a land. So in this case, we basically build data pipelines, right? So once we drill or put the data pipeline, we take the data out. We need to transform it. We have to process it. We need to clean it, and we need to make it available. So we have something called extract, transformation, load, or extract, load, transformation. And then we store that in a location. So in case of oil, it's large containers. In case of data, it's in a data lake, or it could be a lake house or a warehouse or whatever. And that's the time certain value gets added to the data. So that on the downstream side, we can do a lot of things. We can do analysis, we can do prediction, we can do prescriptive, which is nothing but AI, generative AI. All of that, what we hear in recent terms, fall under prescriptive analytics. Now, all of this is on the offshore side. Similarly, on the onshore side, we will have corporate offices. We will have various functions like sales, marketing, operations, administration. I'm sure some of you represent these functions today. And these functions, because of the nature that's within an organization, there are people, process, and technologies. And because markets change, consumer behaviors change, business demands change, economics change. So obviously, there are a lot of initiatives we take. And one of the recent initiatives which a lot of us have kind of got used to it is digital transformation, right? So digital transformation can be looked at in three forms. One could be organizational transformation, one could be business model transformation, and one could be process transformation. Now, digital transformation by itself is a very fairly large area, and today we are going to be focusing on process transformation using low-code, no-code automation, right? So this is how we Logesys have been helping our customers for the last 19 years in whether it is in data, whether it's in analytics, or whether it is digital transformation. So with this small introduction, I would like to hand the session over to the Titan Workspace team, and they will be taking over and explaining their low-code, no-code automation solution which they have and how it can add value to all of us here today. So thank you so much, and over to you, Ashish.
Yeah, hi. Thank you, Joseph, for this introduction. Let me share my screen. So, okay. Can you all see my screen? Presentation?
Yes, Ashish, we can see.
All right. So my name is Ashish. I'm the founder of Titan Workspace. We are a modern work ISV, totally focused on driving Microsoft 365 centric solutions. And Titan Workspace is one of our SaaS product that basically sits on top of your Microsoft 365 and simplifies the whole scenario. So our mission has been that, Office 365 is highly underleveraged in terms of the potential it has. So the main two areas where we focus are document management and workflow automation. That's the core of what the SharePoint can really deliver. So we have Titan Workspace. This is offered as a kind of a software as a service and available to my marketplace as well. Titan Workspace is also Microsoft co-sell partner and selling through different partners globally. We have a strong presence in India, US, and to some extent now we're growing in Middle East as well. So next 30 minutes, I'll basically take you through our some of the areas that we really can help our Microsoft 365 clients in terms of automation, right? So as Joseph mentioned about the digital transformation, so Titan Workspace is one of the tools that's going to enable the digital transformation journey of yours, right? So our core philosophy is that we are able to simplify SharePoint and Power Automate, both in terms of its adoption usage at a very low cost. So Titan Workspace addresses two core issues of the collaboration when we talk about internal collaboration and external collaboration. So document management is one of the aspects, and the workflow automation is the second aspect. So these are the two offerings that we have in Titan Workspace. And today's topic is workflow automation. So I'm going to totally focus on how Titan Workspace workflow automation engine can really help you to create your internal processes from manual to digital and drive your digital transformation journey, right? So workflow automation, as we all understand, is something that we have a manual process and then we now want to automate the entire process and to lower our errors. That's one, increase efficiencies, and then bring more transparency into the approval process and the process overview. And these are three key benefits that typically an organization would have as a priority in terms of their digital transformation journey, right? So the tool that we have is basically a powerful no-code application tool which builds your forms and the workflows. Now, for building your forms, we use Microsoft SharePoint, and we'll demonstrate today that how Titan Workspace has totally transformed the way SharePoint works, right? And then the workflows. I mean, using the Power Automate, we can design any level of workflows, any complexity of the workflows and things like that, right? So what are these workflows totally, in terms of day-to-day practice, where do they help us, right? Some of these examples are in front of you, right? So typically we can have employee onboarding process to be fully automated, exit process, and then purchase acquisitions, right? Paid time off, leave, asset procurement, budgets approval. I mean, there is an endless list of success stories that we have today in terms of where Titan workflow automation tool is able to help our clients, right? So when we say that we are absolutely a no-code platform, that means using SharePoint and Power Automate, you will be able to achieve any complexity of your internal process. So this screen, like you're seeing this workflow on the visual diagram. So if this has to be created using a custom application or let's say Power Apps, this is going to be a large project because of the complexity and the number of steps and the complexity of the flows and the complexity of the forms, right? So Titan Workspace actually is capable of delivering such level of complexities without writing any line of code. And today we're going to demonstrate all that, right? So in terms of our no code, low code journey, we come across many tools, right? So one of the tool is also Power Apps, right? And you can build these apps using Power Apps and build these forms and lists and all, and then use Power Automate and all that. So that's one of the options, that in case you really want to go with the Power Apps, so you can go with that option. But however, Titan Workspace lowers your cost because Titan Workspace does not need Power App subscription, even for these kind of complexities. So rather, we have a lot of clients today, which in spite of having Power Apps, have migrated entire workflow automation journey on Titan Workspace because of the ease of use, the cost, and the time to go live is very, very quick with Titan, right? Now coming to some of other examples, in our day-to-day work experience, how can we leverage Titan Workspace beyond your forms, right? So this is another great example, that document review process. This is something that most of the organizations would have some way or the other, a manual process or an email-based stuff. But Titan Workspace is capable of driving this entire process through automation. So this is like a very typical process where multiple people they work on a document. Let's say it's an HR new policy or a new SOP to be designed. And then this policy is handed over to a couple of reviewers. So it goes sequentially into these reviewers, and every reviewer they document their own changes and comments, and they review the document. Once the document is reviewed, it goes to multiple approvers and then filed on your intranet site as a policy where employees can go and access it. And then at that same time, you can deploy retention policy on top of this document. So that means, let's say if the policy is valid till end of December 2024, a month ago or whatever the time frame you set, you'll start getting alerts from the system that needs revision, right? And the revision cycle starts. So this is easy way to explain how Titan can solve some of the day-to-day problems of document review and approvers. And our workflow automation engine is capable of doing all this easily, right? So what is the differentiation factor? So one of the biggest differentiation factor between Titan and rest of the low-code, no-code tool is this is designed to work with your M365 as a core platform. That means it is not running as some third-party application which is just getting rendered within your Microsoft Teams. This is a real SharePoint and Power Automate app that works within your tenant and leverages all your SharePoint and Power Automation services. We have a lot of examples where we are able to reduce at least 60% of the cost in terms of building or automation of a process as compared to other options such as Power Apps or doing it through custom Power, coding, right? So this is where we distinguish ourselves, that cost and the time to go live is one of the main driving factor why customers are buying Titan Workspace workflow automation today, right? So this is offered as a subscription. So let's say you have a process which needs to be automated. Let's say it's a complete procurement process you want to automate end to end. So we charge per process per year as subscription, which is available to all the users on the tenant. That means unlimited users, and we charge it per process per year. The beauty of this is that we don't have to burden our customers in terms of services, change request, or any unforeseen expenses. So therefore, our subscription basically covers your cost. It includes your, creation of the workflow, deployment, hand-holding, training, and then going, supporting it throughout the years during the subscription. And also during the subscription, if you go through any changes in your process, let's say the form needs changes or the workflow needs changes, that is covered under subscription at no extra cost. So therefore, as a company, if you have to automate, let's say 2 or 3 processes or 5 processes, you just budget annual cost for these 5 processes, and then you don't have to really worry about having some technical skills or investments on SharePoint or Power Platform engineers. Nothing of that sort. You just, we will take care of everything within the fixed cost. Now, these all these processes, when we build, there's a capability to integrate them with ERPs. They are, through various mechanisms, through various databases, and we have lots of examples where we have integrated this with ERP systems or HRMS systems, and I'll talk about certain such examples going forward, right? We have plenty of success stories where Titan Workspace is now very, very appreciated, and some of the top brands in India are using Titan Workspace. Some of the leading pharmaceuticals are customers, right? Tata Housing and Interglobe is World Health Organization. They're all our customers using Titan Workspace in one form or the other, right? So with this, I will now basically jump on to an interface that shows you a glimpse of how this technology really looks. For that, I'll now switch on to my actual screen. Okay, so let me share my screen now. All right. So this is Titan Workspace Workflow Automation Engine, right? And this is the landing page for the user where he can go and he can see all kind of requests. So these are all the requests which are kind of pending with the user in his inbox. And then there's a concept of outbox where the users can see that whatever information they have really kind of a new request which I've sent to others, they can track that. So the inbox and the outbox makes your dashboard very convenient. These are all individual requests which are lying in my dashboard now. As far as starting a new request, I have multiple options I can start. So this is how the user experience would work. So I would now, this is the dashboard where I can go and I can see a list of all the workflows. These are published within my company, right? Some of these workflows I can, so let's say we talk about expense report, right? So this is a very commonly used business process that an employee has to fill the expense report. So this is how the form would look. These forms are designed by Titan Workspace, and they can be exactly as the way your internal process would work. These are just examples. There's nothing which comes ready-made templates. Titan Workspace, when it is deployed, it basically would recreate what you really have as a manual process, both in terms of form and the workflows, right? So this is how the form would look. So here you can see that the workflow example, that is, there's an initiator and then there's a reporting manager and goes to then departmental head and then goes to finance department for payment. So the number of steps may vary from 2 steps to 20 steps. The form may vary from 20 fields to 200 fields, and depends on how you want to create it. So this is how everything is easily managed by Titan Workspace, right? So a lot of times we get a query that the customer has a very complex form, and will Titan Workspace be able to recreate the same looking digital form? So our answer is mostly yes, because right after this, application demo, one of my colleagues will show you that how Titan Workspace builds all these forms and workflows just by drag and drop, right? And that's something really innovative that we have done and achieved in this. So this is how the form would look. Now, once these forms are digitally signed, right? So I can go back and I can digitally sign these forms. So I can switch to another application here, right? This is kind of another dashboard, similar examples. Once this form is signed, let's say this is a purchase request. So this purchase request, once it is completed, the form is completed and automatically converted into PDF. And this is just a sample. And then this PDF has all the digital signatures. Our application comes with built-in e-sign, which is Titan e-sign, which is absolutely free with the subscription. So you really don't have to. And also there's a history. The complete history of the approver is managed here, right? So this is how the form. So any request that you have can be converted into a PDF easily. And this is some of the things that really Titan Workspace. So this has come to me for my approval. Let's say this is a purchase requisition and it has come to me for my approval. It is in my inbox and there are notifications coming to me that I need to go and approve this. So I log into my dashboard and click this, let's say purchase requisition approval. So now this form is opened and I'm going to now approve this form, right? So so I'm one of the approver. Let's say I'm the reporting manager and I put my approval. So here, the tool has a lot of other capabilities. For example, the approval. I can approve using my name, or I can approve this form using my digital signatures. The other things that we can really help you is I can say reject and put my remarks on the rejection, or I can forward it to somebody. So a lot of cases we have where we need to forward our one of the steps to somebody for review, right? Which may not be originally part of it. So the beauty of this is that everything that we have seen, every time we modify this, approval, Power Automate is automatically triggered and adjust itself. So really, you don't need to have a Power Automate, competency, because now all that steps that you are seeing, this is really where Titan Workspace is sitting on top of Power Automate and actually handling all the complexity of Power Automate. Otherwise, if you have to really do forwarding in Power Automate or revert in Power Automate, for example, there could be a scenario where you need to revert, right? So if you have to revert, so you can revert it to initiator, or you can skip that step, or you can add some more steps. So all these flexibilities on the fly, they are very tricky in Power Automate, right? Where Titan Workspace has actually gone and simplified all that, right? So I can, so these are some of the things. So I can see my history here along with the form, that this form was initiated and then it's live with my approved by reporting manager and now live with my departmental head, and it'll go to procurement, and after that it'll go to finance. So all these things. So there are endless successes that we have seen in the market in terms of both regular workflows or a lot of workflows which are related to specific line of business. We have a lot of cases where we have integrated it with the ERP. Let's say purchase request starts with SAP, then the purchase acquisition process is very complex, maybe 5 or 10 steps. Building those kind of scenarios in your ERP are very costly. So then Titan comes into picture. So SAP hands over the request to Titan. Titan completes this entire request and then updates SAP with completed process along with the PDF. So this is how Titan Workspace would work, and this is basically helping you in terms of all your digital transformation. So here I'll take a pause and I'll now request my colleague Chirag, who will come in for a couple of minutes and he will basically demonstrate how Titan Workspace can be really no-code tool for building complexity in terms of forms in the workflows, right? So Chirag, just quickly, if you can go through let them see the screens.
Yeah, so just let me just share my screen and you let me know if it is visible. So yeah, is my screen visible?
Yes, it is visible.
So that we can see it. Yes.
So yeah, as Ashish showed you, like how you can easily create a new request, easily track down the history. So like I'll show you how you can edit a form, edit a fields, and how you can easily rearrange the fields in the form. Let me give an example of this CapEx approval first. So this is a workflow. So whenever I click on this, a new request form will open up, and this is how the form will look like. Now, what I'll do is I just change the fields here. I just go to this edit form functionality here where I can easily drag and drop the fields. I easily can change the sequence number directly from here. Now, suppose I want to shorten this field. Second. I can easily do that. And here, if I want to add a new field, suppose I want to add an attachment here, just drag and drop here. What attachment you require? Suppose if I require a national ID. It is a mandatory field or not? Yes. Submit it. So you can see a particular field is added here. Now suppose if I want to add a field under this final section header, I want to add an suppose time here. I just can drag here. Time. It is a mandatory field. Yes. Validation you can enter, like you can mention any time and time period. Default value you can mention. So I just click on submit. And if I want to drag this form number to under this particular section, I can easily do that. Now, once I click on save changes, these changes will be reflected in the front end. I'll just show you the front end also. This is the front end. I click on the new request again. I click on new request and see all the changes that I have done by dragging and drop. All the changes were reflected here very easily. So this is a kind of a DIY tool where you don't have to be dependent on a particular development team to change your layout of the form, to change the fields of the form. Just do it yourself. And also the best part here is now once the form has been created and you want to define the workflow steps here, click on the workflow tab here. You can easily add a step here. Suppose these are the conditions, like whenever a form is initiating based on the condition to whom it should be sent, I can define here. If I want to add a new step here under step 6, I just have to click on this 3 dot, click on the steps. Step name I can mention like step I'm mentioning as 11, be it a role-based user or be like whenever form is submitted or whenever the request is submitted, to whom it should be sent, to reporting manager, indirect manager. These are the predefined role that we are offering you. What actions they can perform, like suppose review only. You want to apply a condition, custom script, condition script you can mention easily here. Once I click on submit, this particular step will be added to a form, and whenever a form is submitted, these conditions will follow here. And the best part here is, apart from like approval steps, what else you can do is, now suppose after step 5, I really require a task should be created for a user, or suppose an email should be sent, or a planner task should be, or it should trigger a new workflow. That can also be done using this workflow automation tool. So yeah, this is a brief like how easily you can customize this form, how easily you can customize the approval steps. So,
Right. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Chirag. So just to wrap it up, I would come back to our discussion here and sharing my screen once again. Right. So coming back to these examples, right? So these could be HR workflows, these could be operations, sales, procurement, finance, accounting, marketing. Any sort of business process is possible to be digitally achieved using Titan Workspace. Like Chirag demonstrated how absolutely no code drag and drop is possible with Titan Workspace, and that is one of the very great capability of Titan Workspace. So you saw that when he was creating all these steps and the forms, so Power Automate at the back end is configured automatically. So these are complexities of Power Automate that we were able to handle through a front end without writing a line of code, right? And that's where we say that it's a no code, low code, and we simplify Power Automate as well, right? So our intention is that to leverage the core functionality of Office 365, which is SharePoint and Power Automate, and that's where we look forward to you in giving us some chance to do some pilots or giving us some chance to do some sort of trials. So with this, I will now say that my last thing would be I'll be happy to take questions. Also, Gaurav and sales team, if you want to come in and talk about a little bit about anything else that, or are there any questions in the chat field that we can answer? I'll be able to take that.
There is Rahul who has posted a question.
Yeah. How is different from Azure Logic Apps, right? Organization might have already.
Yeah, hi Ashish. So there are a couple of queries that I think we have received in the chat section.
Yeah. So I'm seeing one, which is how is it different from Azure Logic Apps, right? Look, we are saying that for the same thing, there are many ways to achieve it. Azure Logic App is one, right? And custom development is another. Okay. Or using any third-party application could be another. Titan Workspace is the most cost-effective solution, right? So whatever you are building, so if it's a very complex, you have to build using Azure Logic Apps, I think you really need a great technical competency and the project management to achieve all that complex scenarios that we were talking about. However, Titan Workspace allows you to do all that with a very fixed, limited, small amount of budget, which other applications might not be able to. So that's where I again and again people come back and say like, I can do this with Power Apps. My answer is yes. Power Apps, all these other tools, everything is possible in them. But what about cost? So can you achieve same complexity of writing a complete employee onboarding process in such a low cost? So then that's where Titan Workspace is now winning the game. In case you have an EA, okay, might already have an M365. So beauty of Titan Workspace is that we rely on SharePoint and Power Automate, which is available in every Microsoft 365 SKU. So you don't have to buy anything else. So rather it reduces your, if you are a business, plan user, less than 300 and business essential or business SKUs, where Power Apps subscription is not coming in advanced level with the, connectors and all, then Titan Automate can, really help you to reduce that cost as well. So otherwise, we basically need SharePoint and Power Automate to drive everything. We don't need you to buy anything else. If that answers your query. If there's any other question.
Actually, there's a follow-up question from Rahul himself. He's asking about the connectors which are present as standard connectors, and are there any premium connectors which are available as part of?
All right. So the way we have built our technology, we basically need one premium connector per tenant. So you don't have to, buy all these for every user. It is not needed. The way technology has been built. Are there any more questions?
Okay, so you can unmute yourself, right, and can ask the question directly.
So I have a question. I mean, I already posted 2 questions. I'm Rahul. I'm actually in Dubai, and I have some queries because why the query is a fantastic process and the application that you have, the software that you have uh, explained. It's great. I actually, when you were talking, I saw that there's a team connector as well, right, in MS Teams.
Yeah.
Right. So my and I come with a background of Office 365, means consulting and development as well. So my question is very simple. Like when we were in started working on Power Platform, there were a lot of security parameters and security audits that we had to go through on building and running the apps. I mean, what I saw that there are certain Power Automate. There's a background sound. I don't know. So what I would say is that Power Automate, the desktop version wasn't available. Now, how? I mean, do you guys have a penetration test or any security documentation which can be provided to the CISO?
Right. So look, in terms of our architecture, we sit inside clients M365. This is offered as a SaaS in terms of billing, but this is not running from any third-party cloud. Okay, so this is an app that gets installed within your tenant directly. So therefore, we sit inside your M365 under your security, right? So we are not any private cloud. So if that answers your query.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah. And this is one of the reasons that we have top 6 pharma companies working with us, for the simple reason that in Titan Workspace, the client has all the data in their SharePoint lists and on their tenant. So nothing leaves their tenant. Okay. So that's since it is not running from any third-party cloud. So we have federal accounts, we have pharmaceuticals, and very critical, mission critical. In fact, we have recently signed with the US Space Agency, right? Which is going to implement Titan now for running all their engineering departments, right? And one of the reasons was that this is an app which sits on their tenant, not running from private cloud, and their data lies with them. That's the beauty of Titan Workspace. So it can run within Microsoft Teams as a Teams app. So this Teams app is going to be customer specific Teams app. Once Titan is deployed, we build this Teams app, configure that for the client, and they can and it's published on their tenant, and all users can download the Teams app, add to their tenant, and start working within Teams direct. All right. So, as a next step, what we really encourage is that we will work very closely with Logesys in terms of providing free pilots to the prospective clients. So our team will help our customer prospects to identify the right automation opportunity so that we can deploy Titan on your tenant and configure the workflow in a very quick way so that you can really test that automation on your tenant with a real user business use case. Most of our winnings are coming through free pilots. So customers, they give us their real use case of the automation, which we deploy and give them a 30 days of access on their tenant. And more than 90% of them, they get converted within 30 days into orders, right? We have a lot of success stories with our customers. Adama is one of our customer, which is into agricultural manufacturing facility. They are a global company. So they started with one, and they had Titan Workspace on the Power Apps, but then they did one pilot with us for automation of one of the HR processes. And then within 6 months, they rolled it out to 24 business processes, and we have many such cases where people start with one process and within 6 months they have crossed 10 to 15 processes as they see that it's very quick, very economic, and it's user friendly and all this, right? So that's where our strength is. So we're happy to engage any opportunity lead or prospect where a pilot or potential trial can be deployed, right? So yeah, that's all.
Yeah, Ashish, thank you so much for that wonderful presentation and walking through the demo. And looks like there are no more questions. I'm checking the Q&A as well as the chat. So I guess we don't have any questions. So if there are no other questions, I think we can wrap up the session. I think all the attendees would also be getting a recording of the webinar, and I think people who have not been able to attend would also do that. And we would also personally follow up, Ashish, as you suggested, if there's any interest for a free pilot, we will certainly pursue that and try to see how we can nurture that further into a win-win situation.
Right. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, then. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
and have a nice evening. Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Thank you, guys.